in the house. Rogelio, the fucking Hispanic Superman, bro. You are fucking shredded. You are jacked. You're charismatic. Let's go, bro.
All right, man. So, yeah, again, so like I was telling you earlier, started this with like the vision of like helping others with like through fitness, right? But the other things that fitness and like the principles that fitness teaches you and how else you can improve in other aspects of your life, like
Yeah.
physically, mentally, spiritually, financially. Because I just feel like, you know, it all ties in together. And then at the end of the day, like it's where I'm at right now. And I feel like that's where I can speak the best from and like help others because it's things that I'm going through.
Mhm.
And I think right now the people I can help the most is like people my age. Not that I can't help others, but I can relate a lot more to people who are my age. So I really want to push like the fitness, but like what fitness is helping me like get to accomplish like and the bigger picture of things. Um, and then pretty much now here talking to you, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit on like, well, for one, like thanking you because you were the first mentor that I worked with, and if it wasn't for that at the same time, I wouldn't be where I am right now, right? Like it was that guidance that went from like me wanting to go into the military to like also saying like, oh, I do want to have a business at one point, but I didn't want to like really even get started with that to then like that taking off. And then we're just being like, well, let's commit to this 100%. So I felt like when I saw you make that post, it was very right and very at a good time to like get you on and have you speak on like pretty much all this and like mentorship and I don't know, it's something people don't see a value of. So kind of wanted to see if you can explain to people a little bit more to start with your thoughts on like mentorship.
Guys, everybody that's tuning in and listening to this, my name is Jeremiah Solven, former infantry commander, and I came from a town of like 300 people in the middle of nowhere. I went from that to enlisting in the military as an enlisted soldier, changed directions, became an infantry officer, got into special operations, became a ranger in the 75th Ranger Regiment, got to the apex of my career, got to the top 1% of the military, the 0.001% of the military, and served with some of the most amazing human beings and heroes on the face of the planet. I was a shy, small kid from a little town. I didn't think I belonged there. But through constant failure, I achieved that dream. So after I left, after my time in service, I basically was on this pursuit of growth. I decided to run 103 miles in the Colorado Rockies. It was a 100-mile race. And I signed up for it on a Sunday. I ran it the following Saturday with no train up.
Jeez.
Now I have an athletic background, so it's not like I was just sedentary and stuff like that. But I did it it was very impulsive for me, and I did it out of inspiration. And I was scared shitless after I signed up, but I ran that race at altitude. I probably should have died out there. In fact, I feel like I did die out there because it was during that race that I absolutely destroyed myself mentally, physically, and spiritually. And there was a point where I just thought they were going to have to medically evacuate me off of the mountain. I was so beat up. I was only at mile 20 and I still had 80 miles to go. And I couldn't see straight. I couldn't think straight. I felt nauseous. I was dealing with all the high altitude sickness symptoms that you get running at altitude. And I had a come to Jesus moment out there. I was laying down and thinking that they were going to have to medically pull me off the mountain when a voice came over me. And it was like the voice of God. You know, it told me, we don't quit. And then my body and my mind began to fight each other. My mind ended up winning. It told my body that it had to either get up and finish the race or that my mind was going to drag my body through the next 80 miles by its corpse. And so I started this fight internally. And when I went through that fight, I went to some of the darkest places inside of my mind that I'd ever been. I started searching for meaning in life. I started searching for purpose. I was still in the military at this time, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next in life. And during that moment of fighting my internal battles and in that dark period, I realized that everything that I had strived to achieve in the military was about I wanted to help people, but I was really after achievement and making myself feel better. I wanted to climb the hierarchy of the military. I wanted to win. I wanted the significance. And it was during that race I realized that I needed to separate from service, because what I was really driven by was helping others, and I wanted to serve people to a higher level. So I decided that getting out of the military was like the hardest thing that I could do, but it was a way for me to extend my influence. And I finished that race and completed it. Actually, I qualified. I completed the race, which is unheard of because it's one of the toughest races in the United States, and nobody really completes it their first time doing it, especially without a train up. But that epiphany caused me to get out of the military and dive into entrepreneurship full time. I'd already been coached. What's up?
What's the name of this race again?
It was called the Silver Heels Ultra.
Silver Heels Ultra.
It was a 100-mile race in the Colorado Rockies near Leadville, close to Leadville, where they do the Leadville 100. But it was 103 miles according to my Garmin. The race director, the race said 100 miles, but when I measured it on my Garmin, it was 103. So I always make sure to tell people I ran 103 miles. Okay, those 3 miles matter. But point being is I was scared, and I became purpose driven at that point. I decided to dive into entrepreneurship full time. I had already been coaching people, doing executive coaching. And that was a transformative experience for me. So to bring it to your point here, Rogelio, about mentorship and fitness, both of those two things have changed the trajectory in my life. When I was a kid, fitness was a place for me to decompress, relieve my stress, and build myself. And since I was a small kid, it was a place for me to build my confidence. In the military, it became a place for me to prove myself as an infantry officer. I worked out and trained really hard, and I wanted to be at the top of my career field. And so I worked hard on that. And then when I was going through life and I was soul searching, and I decided to leave the military, I was going through a 100-mile race. And it was during that it caused an epiphany inside of me as well, and caused me to change my trajectory. Now, again, in the military, mentors changed my entire life. Mentors came into my life. They guided me. They pushed me towards special operations. They were the thing that got me into the 75th Ranger Regiment. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I was qualified to get into an elite unit like that. But because I had mentors, they believed in me. And that was enough to get me to apply, get me to go and take a shot on myself. And then in entrepreneurship and coaching others, I didn't believe that I could be in this space. I struggled big time with imposter syndrome, fear. I said, hey, if I become a coach and I start helping others, like what happens if I fail? What happens if I'm not good enough? And then, the idea of rejection bothered me. And through mentorship and getting support along the way, I stayed the course, and I really started understanding the bigger perspective of the not only the industry. So not only did I understand more about coaching, but I understood more about myself through that coaching. So I mentorship, like I said, it's completely changed my life, whether it was in the military or what I'm doing now in entrepreneurship, and fitness has been the same. And so there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with two things. They're struggling with confidence, like belief in themselves, and they're struggling with knowing what they're going to do with their life. And coaching and mentorships and the gym solves all of those problems. So for anybody that's on the fence about getting into finding a way to get yourself into some mentorship, you need to ask yourself if you actually want to get something out of life, and if you want to feel good, because that's the value of it. And that's what people have a problem with, is people don't have the perceived value of coaching and mentoring. They understand the value of a nice car. They understand the value of a cell phone. They understand the value of a big house, or at least they think they do. A mansion to them means $10 million. A luxury car to them means it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their iPhone is worth $2,000 in their mind. But when you talk to them about mentorship, they can't associate a dollar value to it because they don't have that perceived value to it. You say, oh, you want to hire somebody you bring up the idea of hiring somebody to help you navigate life and help you improve and build your confidence and get direction and get purpose and set goals and win. And then you start talking about money and you bring up any dollar amount to the average status quo person, and it puts them back on their heels. And they're like, oh, well, I gotta pay for mentorship.
You see, but it's
And
funny. People don't do that for school though. People will easily pay like big chunks for school, but they won't.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like people are waking up now, I think, because they realize that the academic institution, that system is flawed and it leaves you with a ton of debt. It doesn't give you the answers that you need. It doesn't teach you anything about yourself. And not only that, but you leave it in a worse spot that you went in. Like with mentorship, if you find somebody that's good at what they do, that has a great background, and they have the results that you want, you're literally getting the answers to the test in life. You're getting it from the source. Like in college, you have a lot of people that they might have good intention. The teachers might have good intention, but they don't have the experience and the results. So how can you really learn how to succeed from somebody that doesn't have the results? So that's what you're paying for. And the problem in our society is that people haven't been taught what the value of mentorship is. And you can't, it's priceless. That's the value of it. Changed your entire life, Ragilio. Changed mine too.
Yeah, I think that like another thing, adding on to what people have like problems with, I think the last one is execution. So I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday on how he should be spending more time around me and others who like, even though we may have different goals, that we're pushing ourselves to like want to accomplish what we want out of life.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like there's very few people who can grind alone and like deal with like a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your own work, right? Like it's your own hustle, it's your own path. But if you can surround yourself with people who are wanting to better themselves and just wanting to grow in what they're doing, it makes those tough times a little bit easier when you have others like pretty much on the same mission who you can relate to because they're going through the same struggles, and that at the end of the day you have like a support system with, because you guys are wanting to improve, you guys are wanting to get better. But if you're just, I don't know, like I don't like to think of like friends as like everybody should want the same things out of life. But if I'm spending time with a friend who is just wanting to get drunk every weekend, and that's not, has nothing to do with my goals, then I need to make sure I'm hanging out with this other friend of mine who wants to get, I don't know, wants to compete in a ultra marathon like I do, and stay along them versus being over here. So I was saying how I think it would be a whole lot better, even though whatever struggle he's going through, that we could be improving each other through just spending more time together versus him not doing something alone. And in a way, you're kind of mentoring each other. But yeah, it's something that I was like, I kind of brought it back up to him too, like the whole thing about mentorship, how it's like, oh damn, hold on. Yeah, how it's like very important, if that makes sense.
You want to
Jeremiah,
restart it?
yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cause oh crap, let me see.
You want me to leave and come back in?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, give me 1 second.
Cool. Let's go. I'm good.
My bad.
No, that's cool.
But yeah, no, so I was just having that conversation with him on like how yeah, I was just having that conversation with him on like even if he wanted to continue to progress because he's going through a certain struggle right now, I think he should be finding someone who's already like in what he's doing and see if he can be mentored by that person on like how he gets to where that person is. So like if his goal is I don't know, making $1 million and you need to meet the millionaire to teach you how to like create a better roadmap to get to where you want to be. Just for like an example. But yeah, it's just a lot of people are still like every time I mention it or I bring it up, they're very like, oh, mentorship? Like, why would I put money into that? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's where I wanted to make sure like that's something that like you brought up, and I think there's a very few people who could just like I was saying like who can grind alone. Like I think also not everybody comes with like a from a very good like support system sometimes. I think a lot of people don't have a group of friends or a group of individuals who like really believe in them.
Yeah.
So they struggle with that and they're grinding alone, but because they're grinding alone, they're just going through more of a struggle versus if they had a mentor or at least a group of friends who can push them forward, then they're more than likely to reach success a lot faster.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, you do not want to go at life alone. Like, you don't want to attack life alone. And there's numerous reasons why. Like, the entire world is set up out there and it's set up to destroy you. You're like, the entire world is full of all types of negative shit. It's full of fast food that wants to kill you. It's full of negative people that want to bring you down. It's full of all these businesses that want to take your money and not help you, and they want to do it in their own self-interest. It's a damn war zone out there. And so what people are doing is they're going through life completely alone. And it's like trying to take, like the military taught me, if you want to win in a fight, you need to take 3 of your guys to 1 of theirs. And why is it that everybody's trying to go out and approach life and succeed in life by just pairing up 1-to-1? They're doing it 1-to-1. Like it's them versus the world. That's a recipe to lose. So you do not want to go at this world to lose or you don't want to go at this world alone because you're going to freaking lose. And so approaching life as an IMA, I call it an IMA. An IMA is I'm going to do it myself, right? An IMA is something that I used to be. And when I was an IMA, I was broken. Every time, I had this belief system that I should do everything myself. I should do my yard work myself. I should never ask for help. I should bootstrap myself. That's a broken mentality. Like there's a part of it that is true where you need to learn work ethic in your life. You need to learn how to do the hard things. If you grow up your whole life and you just want to sit in the couch and not do shit, that's the wrong idea. What I'm saying here is that there's a point in your life where you have to ask for help. You have to ask for assistance if you want to get anywhere in life. Okay. So we have to stop being IMAs in life and start building dream teams. That's what my mentor taught me. He said, Jeremiah, if you want to like succeed, there's no such thing as a self-made man. He's like, so what we need to do is shift from being an IMA to building a dream team. And so for anybody that wants to get anywhere in life, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You need to build that team. Now, the real reason why most people don't listen to others when it comes to recommendations is because they don't have the results that person aspires to get. They will say, hey, you should get some mentorship, or you should get some coaching, or you should do this differently. And that person may have a little bit of progress in their life, but they don't have dramatic progress. And so the person is deaf to their recommendation. So what ends up happening is people will ignore you. When you start getting 5%, 10%, 20% above them, they're still kind of ignoring you. And then when you get about 50, 60, 70% above you, then they start hating on you. And then when you're about 100% above them, then what they do is they turn around, they start asking you for shit. So the way to get your friends and family to start coming along is you got to like have undeniable results. And then you got to get such good results. You got to be so chopped up. You got to have so much money that they're all like, dude, what the hell happened to you? Like this is what they do with me. You know, I said I grew up low income in a small town of 300 people. And now I just bought my wife a freaking Lamborghini. And people are like, bro, what happened to you? Well, what happened to me is I changed my mindset. I changed the people that I was around. I changed my thinking. And I did that over and over and over again. I put different people around me. I got better results. And now all of a sudden, I've worked through those growing pains and everybody's asking me how. Well, where the hell were you guys all those years when I was alone? You know, when
Yeah.
I was like, where were you when I was on the grind? But it's all right. I'll help them out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why like the biggest things I learned from you was that like really like it's always stuck with me. It's like the violence of action.
Yeah.
Um like just really like if something you're gonna do, like committing down and like, hey, this is like all out. You're gonna like full send, you're gonna commit, pretty much get obsessed with this, what you want to accomplish. And then breaking that down into like the daily 4 actions. Or let me backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
What's the big goal of the year or the month, and how do I break that down into smaller disciplines in my day that are going to help me reach that?
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody, if you don't have the purpose of goals is to grow. People forget that. Number one, if you want something, if you're missing meaning, you're missing fulfillment, you're missing happiness in your life, you need to set some damn goals. Like if life isn't exactly how you want it, you should have goals, because the purpose of those is to grow into the person that achieves them. And what human beings really love is progress. Progress equals happiness. So when you set goals, you'll start feeling happy again because you're going to be make progress towards something. If you don't have them, you're basically a ship at sail with no compass, no direction. You're just out there aimlessly drifting. And that's most people in their life. So yeah, you need to do what my mentor taught me, which is you need to live your life with the vision and your day by the clock. So you need to cast a vision in life to go anywhere. You got to know where you're going, like typing in the GPS inside of your phone. You got to put a destination in there, and then you need a roadmap to figure out how to actually achieve it. And people end up being the best roadmaps to get anything that you want. Like, what do you do when you get to a new place and you know some people that are there, and you don't know any of the local restaurants? You ask around. Hey man, what's some good shops? What are some good things? You ask for advice and they give you the roadmap to that place. You might actually type it in the GPS, but they give you the answers. They, hey man, don't waste your time with all these shops. Don't waste your time with all these restaurants. Go to this one. This is the best one. Like that's what people need in their life. And so, yeah, for anybody that is like feels aimless, they feel helpless, they feel like they're not making progress. Well, you need to reconnect with your vision, the thing that's inside of you, and then break that down into milestones and put a plan into place.
How would
Okay.
you
Like,
how
go
would
ahead.
you recommend Jeremiah somebody to like get around better like-minded people? Like if right now like they have zero friends
Yeah.
and their goal is to become, let's say, a gym owner, or yeah, like let's just say a gym owner, and they have like no clue, no friends, supportive people. How would you suggest them to like get friends who are
The fastest way to upgrade your social circle is to become the person that those people want to be around.
okay?
So, well, the thing that's within everybody's control, a lot of people want better relationships, but they don't ever stop to think that they should change them first. Every single person is in harmony with the things that they can see eye to eye with, the things that they are attracted to. Okay. So if I want to upgrade the people that I'm around, I have to start behaving different. I have to start behaving like a person that belongs on that plane. I always like to use the mall as an example, right? Like when I walked into the mall when I was a kid, I went to all like the trendy shops, right? Maybe I went into what did I go into as a kid? I went into like when I was in my teens. Well, the first thing that's standing out, I never really went in there a whole lot, but Hot Topic stood out, right? Like I would walk past, Hot Topic was right there, and that was a store. People would go in and out. Well, your entire life works like the mall. You walk in and you're trying to figure out what stores to go into and which ones not to. Some people go into the Hot Topic. Some people go into the Gucci store. Some people go into the Macy's, whatever. So in life, you end up creating a reality that you're in harmony with, that you're familiar to, and that you feel comfortable in. So you walk into the store, you walk into the mall, you go into Hot Topic, you buy the shit and you leave and you walk out looking like somebody that wears Hot Topic stuff. But what we want to do is we don't want to be in Hot Topic anymore. We want to be in the Gucci store. But the problem with most people is they're not seeing the Gucci store, and they won't even look at it. They're saying I don't belong in that room. They talk themselves out of it. So what we have to do to upgrade our circle is we have to stop walking into the same stores that we're familiar to, and we have to start walking into the ones that we want to be a part of. We have to start being before we become. I have to go into the Gucci store. I have to go try the things on. I have to say, man, this feels weird. This feels awkward. I don't really like this, blah, 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 blah. And then I got to go do it again, and do it again. I do this with people. It's talking to the people that you want to be around, the entrepreneurs, the athletes, all these different things. And by doing that, you become more familiar with them, and then your reality will start changing. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the first thing that you have to do is, like, one, decide what room you want to be in, but decide what shop you're going to start shopping in. And then you need to start behaving like the person that belongs in that room. Like, shitheads don't hang out with multimillionaires. It just doesn't happen. Why is that? It's because they're not in harmony with each other. They have nothing to relate to each other about. So if I'm a shithead, what I need to do to be around multimillionaires is I need to start being a really good person. I need to start leaving people better than I found them. I need to focus on providing value to society. I need to focus on building my character. I need to focus on becoming somebody that has values and that stands for something. I need to work on my communication. I need to work on everything, every aspect of my life. I need to work on it and make it excellent. And by making it excellent, I will get invites to that higher level. Those multimillionaires will start opening the doors up to me, and I'll come right in because they will be attracted to me and we'll be in harmony with each other.
Yeah. So yeah, actually with you saying that, so when I started working out when I was 15, 16, and then I moved to this new location, I was more like an old school style gym. A lot of people like trained really hard there. Like the Metroflex that what's his name came from, Ronnie Coleman. I started training with a lot of older people, and they approached me to train with them. And I think a lot about that like now, because it happens to me now with a lot of like clients that are very successful that invite me to parties or to events to hang out with them. And I see it as like networking. But I'm like, why have these people like inviting me to go here or to train with them? And the only thing I can think of is, or even that, like, once I've talked to them, is that they like where my head's at, or they like the way I trained.
Exactly.
They like
That's a great way of putting it. That's a great way of putting it, because what you're talking, when you're like-minded with somebody, what you're really saying is you're on the same frequency as them. So human beings work a lot like cell phones. If I want to call you, I gotta have your number. If I have your number, I can call you directly. We can talk to each other. We can jump on a FaceTime, or we can jump on a phone call. So our frequencies in that example match. I'm tapped in and you're tapped in. We're talking to each other. Well, when it comes to our hobbies, our recreational activities, where we're going in life, those are frequencies just like the cell phone call. And so when my mind is on a path of goals and growth, what ends up happening is I tap into other people that are focused on goals and growth. So the reason why they're inviting you is because you're in harmony with them, and you got yourself to a place mentally where you're thinking about the same things that they're thinking about.
Yeah. And it is something I feel like I kind of like through, like now I can like go back and look at some of this, but I would struggle with looking at it because, like, for example, like if I was hanging out with someone who's a millionaire, I would think to myself, like, why does this person want to be hanging out with me? But then I'm like, it's not the money that's like pointing you out. It's who you are and like who you're, like the person you're being that someone's attracted to. It's never been like about the money.
No, successful people don't value your bank account. Successful people value how you make them feel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you bring them value? Like, if think about this, if I have all the money in the world, who am I going to hang out with? I'm not going to measure it based off of how big their bank accounts are. I'm going to base who I put around me based off of how they make me feel. Do they make me feel heard? Do they make me feel important? Do they make me feel valued? And then in return, I want to do the same thing for that person. Right. This is like, people ask me this shit all the time about relationships. They're like, well, what's the best way to get into a social circle that I can't really get into? And they're like, well, I don't have the money to be in there. It's not about the money. It's about the value you provide that circle. So one of the things that I used to do when I started upgrading my circle was I started reaching out to people that were way more successful than me. And I just simply started telling them what I saw in them that was special. I would reach out to them on social media and I'd be like, hey, man, I really like what you're doing on social media. I don't need anything, want anything. I just want to let you know I really appreciate your page because I come to it for inspiration all the time. And I can only imagine how much work you put into this thing. So thank you so much for pouring yourself into this. I know you probably don't even have to do this. And just letting you know there's guys like me out there that are watching it, you know? And so I would give value to these people that were outside of my financial reach, so to speak. And I would make them feel good about what they were doing. And I didn't want anything in return. And what ended up happening is they started following back up with me and asking me questions about me. They took an interest in me. And then some of them invited me into their circles. So one of the best things that you can do as somebody that wants to upgrade your circle is get into the rooms that you want to be in, but pay attention to how you're making those rooms feel. I'm not saying go around and make people please everybody. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. Some of the most successful people on the planet, they're sick and tired of being around people pleasers. They want the hard truth. So can you walk into a room and help a successful person hold themselves more accountable? Can you walk into a room and shoot a person straight? Be honest with them. Look them in the eyes. Tell them where they're coming up short. Tell them where they're doing good. All successful people on the planet were kids at some point, which means they've grown into adults who still feel the same way that they felt as a kid. They still want to feel valued as a person. So your job, regardless of your bank account, is to give that person a feeling. How do you want to make that person feel? And that's the way to upgrade your circle.
No. Yeah, no, and it's crazy because I think about that sometimes, or like I'll think about, like, for example, somebody that other friend that's a little bit in a bigger circle that knows other friends of mine, and I'll think about, like, well, maybe why didn't this other person get invited, or you know, why was it just me? And it's like you said, like you're connecting at their frequency, and it's like we want to talk to you. But yeah, no, so okay, it's just something I wanted to ask you because I think that's like people don't just want to execute on that, right? Like there's a way for them to find those friends, but they just don't want to do it. I would have thought about it a little more simple, right? Like if somebody wants to be a gym owner, then hey, start going to the gym. And actually, I did this when I was opening up this new location. I met with like 4 different gym owners and I asked them if they wanted to have lunch. And I've been to their gyms as well. So I gave them like, I didn't even think about this till now that you brought this up, but I told them how I felt about their gyms and like what I seen them do like really great and what I loved about them. And if they can like share with me somewhat of their, at least at their story, their come up, so that I can try and relate as to like how I'm going to build my space.
Yeah.
And maybe correcting what things I'm already doing wrong and how to better them. And now it's, I guess, kind of cool because like I know everybody here in San Antonio. Well, majority of gym owners, we're not necessarily like to say like, oh, like we're all best friends, but we know each other.
Yeah.
And I can walk into a room and if I see them, approach them and like have like a really great conversation with them.
For sure.
And it's how, yeah, I don't know, doing that and along with other clients, I've been able to get myself into other rooms, but it's just been more of me eagerly wanting to learn and get better.
Yeah. Curiosity. Curiosity never killed the cat, man. Curiosity is not the thing that kills the cat, right? Sitting around getting fat and not doing shit with your life. That's what kills the cat. Curiosity creates creativity inside of you. It creates creative thinking and it causes you to create a creative life, which means, in other words, that curiosity is the starting point of creation. You know, when you want to create the gym or a new life, you got to be curious, man. You have to be curious. So that's a guy that's huge.
Yeah, I think that goes with being, because it is a little bit uncomfortable, right? To like, let me approach this person and ask them these questions, somebody that I've never talked to. And people don't want to really step out of that. But I think once you do, like once you break that that insecurity of like just doing it once, like asking that one person for information,
Yeah.
it kind of becomes more Like you've done it. Like you can
Yeah.
ask somebody else out for
Well, the reason why a lot of people have a hard time reaching out to people that are above them in life is because their intent is off. They want something from that person, and that person can smell it. And so successful people always are getting hit up and asked to help and to give and to give and to give. So what that person really needs to do is just shift their intent. Instead of like going up to somebody and just wanting something from them, go up to them and try to provide value in some way. Make them feel like what you just said, make them feel some way that makes them feel good. Hey man, I just want to let you know that I love your gym, bro. This thing is freaking amazing. Like I love the culture here. Yeah, right. You're gassing them up and you're telling them, you're speaking from the heart. You're making them feel good about their hard work. And then that's an exchange of value. And then after you give them some value, then ask them something. Hey man, you mind if I get like 15 minutes of your time? I want to ask you one question. You got time for one question, dude? And what a lot of people mess up when it comes to networking is that they make it too hard on the person that they want to network with. Like if you were to, there's certain people, it depends what range you're at financially, but if you're trying to go out, it's going to be hard to get a billionaire to go out and have lunch with you, right? Like it's going to be tough. That person has a very tight schedule. So you have to understand where people are at in life in order to get them to meet you with where you're at. I get hit up all the time. Like a guy hit me up yesterday. He was like, "Hey man, you want to go out and get some coffee?" I'm like, "Bro, I don't even have coffee with my wife. Like, you think I'm just gonna like go out of my way to have coffee with you? Like, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I'm just saying I'm so busy and focused on what I'm doing. Like, tell me what your intent is, and I'll tell you how I can help you." So, for me personally, I just like people to shoot me straight and be direct. Let's be concise, get to the point. If you want something from me, tell me what it is. I'll help you probably get it. And then if you don't want something from me, like you just want to pal around, well, I don't know if that's necessarily the best way for us to to build a relationship. We got to have a way to like make each other better. So let's just get to the point and figure out a way where we can help each other out. But I think that's where a lot of people mess up is like their intent is off and they want something before they've given.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's I never thought about it that way, but I think it's always been like it's funny, like right now, like I guess like I'm saying, like you realize that that's what I was doing
Yeah, you were
this
doing it
whole time.
unconsciously. You're an unconscious competent in this area.
But okay. And then down okay, so then with that being said, somebody gets started already, like somebody's getting them uncomfortable. They're finally kind of pushing forward. How do
Yeah.
you how would you say somebody is more than likely to succeed? Is there like a certain plan or a certain routine, or
Yeah.
like to me it's always just been like straight up commitment, like through the thick and the thin of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like for some people it's just very like they question themselves too much. And I feel like I tie that into it maybe not being because they're doing that thing for the right reason. Like, for example, if I told you like, hey, I want to get into personal training, but I want to do it because of the money, and then I have like a crappy month, and now I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna quit at this, and I'm gonna go ahead and start and go back to the law enforcement thing actually now. And now I wasted this whole time, and I quit just because I had one terrible month.
Yeah.
And people just switch it up right away when they're meant to go through that bad month, and they're not okay with that.
Yeah.
Like people are not being okay with taking in failures. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you think
Well,
on that?
yeah. I mean, the thing about failure is like failure and success are the same direction. And so anybody that avoids failure is avoiding success. Like you would have to be so stupid in life to think that you could succeed at anything without failing.
Because I would think
You,
that like no matter where you go, like you're gonna struggle with something. Like
yeah.
if you, I don't know, if I would have gone into law enforcement, the military, or the fitness route, I was gonna end up struggling with something along the way.
Yeah.
So like I might as well struggle with the one thing that I like really want to do.
Yeah, and not only that, but like people got to reframe what failure actually means, like, and what it is, because failure is a man-made construct. Failure is a man-made circumstance. It's a circumstance you create by thinking or through thinking. Okay. So whether or not I'm on track or off track is all determined by my thinking. So if I am moving forward and I hit a roadblock and I don't get the result right away, if I tell myself that I'm failing and that I'm never going to get to the result that I'm after, well, then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and it becomes true. And then I write that path off as a failure. And I basically adopt the Plum syndrome, poor little old me, and I go back to doing what I was doing. But what winners do is when they fail, they understand that that's just a roadblock. It's not a wall. They reframe the experience. They're like, oh, I didn't fail. I just messed up. I came up short. And so they change the frame of the experience inside of their mind. Okay. They don't frame it as a complete failure. They frame it as a setback. Okay. But both situations are an imaginary scenario. They're both a man-made circumstance, a man-made, they're both created inside of the mind.
Yeah.
Whether you're on track or off track is created inside of your mind. So we have to realize that what we're telling ourselves, our belief system, is what's creating our destiny.
I've always liked to like think about it like in the most simplest terms. So like anytime like I've struggled at some point and like I'm having a conversation with someone, like the easiest way for me to like address that failure or bring some light to it, I'm like, if somebody else has accomplished it, I can too. I'm like, that's like in the basic of terms, like if somebody else has done it, like why can't I? So
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the person that got to where I want to go get to, like they dealt with this too. So why can't I?
Yeah, you reframed it exactly.
I just feel like some people, I can explain that to them and they still wouldn't click with them.
No, not everybody's ready. Like not everybody is ready for growth. Not everybody's ready for improvement. Not everybody has enrolled into the idea that they can be better than what they are. In fact, most people have a fixed mindset, not a growth mindset. They believe that the life that they've been given is the life that they're destined for, and they don't believe that they can change any of it. And so when you give them a new idea, a new perspective, they don't believe it. They push it away versus believing in it. So the main thing is that with all mentorship and helping others and influencing others, the goal is not to convince and persuade every single person around you. That's a waste of time and energy. In fact, that's a huge energy leak out of your life. What we should be doing as leaders is be focusing on the people that want to grow and giving our message to them.
Okay.
The student will, like the teacher will appear when the student is ready. So the student, we have to basically be looking for the students in life, give our message, share our philosophy, and when the right person shows up, we help them along the way.
Okay. So then, and then speaking on like the fixed and the growth mindset, what would you say the person who has accomplished this one big goal already, but now has gotten like really comfortable with where they're at?
Destroy everything, man. Not really to destroy it, but what I mean is like,
Or they're back to square one. Like, I don't know, let's say
yeah,
gain 50, you lost 50 pounds and you regain them and you just keep playing that game and you know you can do it, you've done it, but you somehow keep letting other things like take you back. And it's like, you know, they kind of have that growth mindset, but are they still having that? Are they still battling with the fixed mindset as well then?
a person that goes up and down in their results, typically what the problem is they don't ever cement their standards. So what they do is they develop a process. They create a process for achievement. They say, I want to lose some weight. And they get very fixated on losing that amount of weight. They're like, I want to lose 100 pounds. I'm going to get a trainer. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat right. And they have this vision of getting to the result. So they're so result focused that they start getting dialed in. They start making the transformation that they finally wanted. And then what happens is they get to their goal, but they've forgotten to increase their standards. They've forgotten to cement the floor in which they're standing on. And so what ends up happening is they hit their goal, They feel like they got a victory and they go back to where they came from because they're not standing on anything. It's almost like a hot air balloon, right? Like you're like floating up in this hot air balloon on your way to your goal. You hit the goal at the top, it pops, and you go back down right to where you came from. What we should be doing is climbing our way to our goal with a ladder or something that causes us, or stairs that causes us, if we slip, we end up right back where we only fall a couple of places and we don't go all the way back down to where we came from. You see what I'm saying? So standards are the floor of your life that create your results. Okay, the Army did a great job of creating standards for them in the military, right? They give us the APFT. They say, hey, you got to be in a certain level of shape. They say, hey, you got to have a certain level of intellect to be in here. You got to pass certain level of boards to make your progression and go through the ranks here. It means you got to study. They gave us requirements. You have to show up to PT on time. These became standards that you had to live by. And if you didn't live by them, you were kicked out of the Army. Well, most people don't ever adopt standards in their life. They don't ever, along their way to their fitness goal, they don't ever say, you know what, this is a personal standard of mine. I'm going to cement this. I'm going to say, you know what, for the rest of my life, I'm going to focus on eating 3 to 5 meals a day and making sure I'm staying within my macros. I'm going to make sure that when I fluctuate in my weight, I don't go more than 10 pounds. I'm going to make sure that one of my standards is that I weigh in every single week or every single month. I'm going to do this for life. And these become standards. Not only that, but I'm going to have different physical standards in my life. I'm going to say, you know what? I need to be able to complete this walk, this hike in this amount of time. I need to be able to do my these lifts in my weight training. I want my body fat standard to be this parameter. Like for me personally, my acceptable body fat standard has always been between like 10 and 15%. I get outside of that, I start feeling gross about myself and I don't like it. And I naturally want to go above that and outside of those parameters. Now in my life, I've gotten real comfortable to be between 10 and 15% body fat. And I'm like, oh, that's an acceptable standard. But I want to level my entire life up. So what do? I change the standard. I say, bro, 15 is not acceptable anymore. You got to be between 9 and 12%. That's your zone. Then I put a plan into place to hit that goal. And now I have the standard inside of my head so that I stay there. Okay, now life becomes about meeting my standards, which raises my floor and keeps me going from back to where I came from.
Gotcha. Okay. That's I like kind of like with business, right? I guess the business grows, you grow it into this big machine, but now there's a certain maintenance that machine requires. Um, yeah, no, I could see that a lot, and I feel like it happens a lot, and it's kind of sucks, like you said, because you wanna, well, in fitness, you wanna help people with this, but how would you say you help someone bring those standards up on themselves? Is that something that you have to wait for them to want to, or can you somehow teach or guide someone to raise their own standards on themselves?
I always tell people when it comes to influence, when it comes to like coaching others and helping them along, good coaches teach, great coaches teach you how to think. So what we want to do to create influence and create an increase in standards with our clients is we want them to create them. We want to teach them how to think about their standards. See, you see, your mind is amoral, which means it doesn't matter what you plant there; it's going to grow. If I put a negative thought inside of your mind, it's going to grow. If I put a positive thought inside of your mind and you like focus on it, it's going to grow. It's kind of like whether you're going to plant a weed or whether you're going to plant a rose. Whatever you plant inside your mind, it's going to, with the right nutrition, it's going to grow. So what we want to do with our clients is we want to give them the thoughts, the seeds that they can grow. Now, if I'm just telling them what to put inside of their own mind, it doesn't work. What they need to do is plant their own seeds. They need to have their own belief systems about what's acceptable and not acceptable for them. And then we have to challenge what they think. So where a lot of people and coaches mess up is they try to use reason. They try to talk everybody with logic. That doesn't work. If I just sit here and tell you what to believe, you reject everything. You reject it all. But if I can get you to change your belief system, to challenge your belief system, then you can create new standards. Like if you wanted, me and you were sitting down, or me and one of your clients were sitting down, and they just believed that they were always going to be fat. And if I could tell them, no, you're not always going to be fat, they wouldn't believe that because they've been fighting that belief system their whole life. I would have to sit down with them and have them tell me and share with me all the different ways that that's a lie. And through talking through why it's a lie, they coach themselves through that problem. So your mind works like it has your thought patterns are a lot like roads. When you introduce a new thought into your mind, it's like a gravel road that you put down inside of your mind. And then when you repeat that thought over and over again, it turns into asphalt, then it turns into concrete. And the next thing you know, it's the damn Autobahn where you can drive 140 miles an hour down it, right? So what we want to do is humans is we want to create the road inside of our mind that we want. Okay, a lot of people have these roads inside of their minds that are like, it's like a knot. Like their whole mind is full of these twisted, cemented roads that don't go anywhere. So what we want to do with this person is we want to create good thinking that points them towards what they want. In order to do that, they have to reevaluate their belief system about the food that they're eating, the weight that they have, life, all those things. And it has to be reinforced all the time through repetition in greater proportion than the roads that they put inside their mind that were negative, right? In other words, if I think about that I'm a piece of shit, I'm gonna be fat my whole life, and I've thought that 10,000 times, well, now I gotta go think the opposite 10,001 times. I got a lot of work to do. Okay, so that's really the key here is teaching people how to think about their problem, think about their challenges, and helping them work themselves through the issue.
And do you think that like having someone who has been through what they've been through is the easiest way to help them understand that like they are able to get unstuck because this
absolutely.
person comes with similar background as you. This person lost the weight as well.
Absolutely. That's why I can never listen to somebody that tells me I can never listen to somebody about getting like rich tell me how to start from the bottom and work their way up if they've been rich their whole life. Like I can learn from them, but I'm not going to be able to relate. They're not going to be able to relate to me. In order for me to really grow, in order for anybody to really grow, the perspective has to be one that I can connect to. And that's true with everybody. You got to be able to connect. And that's the problem with a lot of leaders out there is they don't connect. They speak and they tell, but they don't ever connect with the person. Human beings kind of work like magnets. When we really connect with somebody, we can pull each other along. And so our job is to really relate to that person in a way that they understand. And then through that, they'll attract themselves to us and we can move in the same direction.
Okay. Yeah, because that's where I feel like I've always been or have had like the best success with clients or with just conversations is the easiest way being for me to relate to someone or to mention of like someone I met that can relate to them versus just like, hey, well, you just need to, I don't know, fucking get to it. Like they're just, it just goes through one ear and comes out the other. But okay. Then
well, here, think about this real quick. I mean, think about like a convict inside a prison that wants to get his life together. Is he really going to be able to listen to anybody that comes in and tells him what to do other than somebody that's been through what he's been through? Like if think about like if Warren Buffett comes in and talks to somebody who's in prison for assault and that person's been an alcoholic their whole life, or maybe don't use Warren Buffett, use somebody that's totally like cookie cutter, knows nothing about prison and just like only lived a straight shooting life. And that person comes in and tries to lecture this convict about how to get their life together. Will that convict listen to that person? No. Like they'll hear them, but they're not going to be able to relate and change their life because the story doesn't make sense. It doesn't match their story. So if I really want to influence somebody, I have to put somebody in front of them that is the example. This is why leading by example is the only way to lead people. People learn and change themselves by watching others. Then what they do is they reinforce the change that they want to make by learning from others. Okay. So like, if I want to like ride a bike, I could study riding a bike all day, but that's not really going to help me until I see somebody like get on the bike and do it. And then I go to do it myself. Then I know how to actually ride the bike. I go from a state of information collecting to actually knowing. And then after I do that, I can watch somebody pop a wheelie and watch them go through all the mechanics of riding a wheelie and doing all these different tricks. And I can learn easier that way than I can if I were just to go think my way through it or see somebody that was already there. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so human beings have to see the example. We're all very kinetic learners. It's just how we work.
Then with having someone, going back to like kind of going on track, like somebody already has the right thing in place, they have the right people around them. Something I wanted to kind of bring up with you, because it's something even I have struggled with, is when it comes to time management. I know we share like like when we're talking about violence of action, like your daily 5 goals that you commit to doing, continue to push the day forward. If you want to kind of go over that a little bit, but when it comes to time management, how do you manage your time in your day, but also be able to get the enough amount of rest sometimes? Because there's like, I feel good at some days that like I have work to do, and like it means that like I'm growing. But then at some point I feel like I need to draw the line to be able to get the rest I need to work as hard as I need to the next day.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how are you optimally like getting after it every single day? Like,
Yeah. Well, violence of action doesn't necessarily mean that I don't take care of myself.
okay, right.
So the way I manage the question is, how do you manage your energy and your intensity, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way I manage it is I live my life like a Ranger Raid. I focus on waking up, being intentional with my day, doing the daily action plan. And then once I'm done with my action steps and I've accomplished my stuff, then I'm all in on the next thing, which is rest, recovery, and sleep. A lot of people aren't going all in on their rest, recovery, and sleep. They're fucking off at night. And not
because
only that, but
because they're not going all in on their 5 goals through their day. So then they're
yeah, yeah, exactly. So then they're thinking about all the things that they have to do. So like literally that, like, so there's a lot to this, but human beings have an unlimited source of energy. We're energy at our core. So this idea that we're tired is actually just bullshit. What we're feeling is the byproduct of bad habits and bad thinking. Those are the two things that cause a decrease in energy. Because if I have good habits and good thinking, I have unlimited energy. Okay. Do I need a little bit of sleep? Yeah, sure. But how energetic am I really going to feel if I am dreading the day, if I am dreading the work, if I am dreading my next step? It's going to be daunting and it's going to exhaust me. How good am I going to feel if my habits suck? If as soon as ends, I don't even shower, I just lay down in bed, I go to sleep, I wake up and I do it all over again. I don't get any time for myself. I don't eat well. How good am I going to feel if I'm eating fast food and Uber Eats 3, 4, 5 times, whatever, like 3 times in a day? How good am I going to feel if I'm stuffing my face full of stuff that I don't even know what I'm putting in my body? Most people have no idea what they're putting in their body. They think that they're eating healthy, but they're absolutely eating shit. And yet they're confused on why their energy's down. It's not, everybody thinks that they need more sleep. No, you think you need more sleep. People, you don't actually need more sleep. You need to focus on your habits, what you're putting in your mouth, what you're doing with your time, and then what you're doing with your thoughts. Okay, so that's what I focus big time on. I measure my macros. How many people out there actually measure the micronutrient or the macronutrients that are going into their mouth? Not very many. But that's what I'm talking about. That's why I have unlimited energy, because I'm in the details of my life. And so when I sleep, I have a very deliberate sleeping process. I lay down, I put my phone in the other room most of the time. Sometimes I'm guilty of bringing it in the room, sure. I put on blue light blockers. I have a good conversation before I go to sleep. I visualize, I think about the future, and then I rack out and I sleep and I dream and I love my life. I think of great things when I sleep. And then I wake up and I think about the vision that I'm building. I get inspired, and then I go and take action. Now, if I'm tired along the way, then I reevaluate my habits.
yeah.
I reevaluate what I'm putting in my mouth. I reevaluate like how I'm going to sleep. I reevaluate who I'm talking to. I reevaluate all those things. So the daily action plan is a great way to be effective in a day. I designed it so that basically what you do is you create 4 goals for your life, and then you do 5 actions that you have some resistance towards, because resistance is where the growth is. You do those resistance steps, you mark those tasks off, and it could be something like you want to get in shape and you're going to go do morning cardio. Man, I hate cardio. I'm going to go do that. Man, I need to get my business going. I hate doing sales calls. All right, I'm going to do sales calls today. Right? You do 5 action items that you have resistance towards. And that really doesn't take that long. If you do 5 things that you have resistance towards that are tied to your goals, and you block off about an hour to 2 hours a day, maybe 3 max, to do those 5 things, your whole life will change in 100 days. In a year, you'll have a transformation. I mean, my life today is a complete byproduct of what I'm teaching right now. How did I go from enlisted soldier to infantry officer to ranger to entrepreneur to a life where I have a business I can take anywhere in the world where I want, where I work with 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs? It's because every single day I woke up, 7 days a week, mind you, I'm doing 5 items that I don't want to do. Some days they're great items. Some days they're like items I'm proud of. Some days they're items I'm not so proud of, but I still got the list done and I move forward. So work is endless. There's so much work in a day. I'm not a type of person that tries to get all the work done. What I focus on is getting the right work done. Did that come through? So I'm not, like I said, work is endless. I'm not the type of person that tries to get all the work done. I'm the type of person that gets the right work done.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I feel like it's like the simplest way like to explain it, right? Because even like for me, I can add like a bunch of tasks to my day, and before you know it, I'm up till midnight, and I have to be up at 4, and then sleepy as shit because I gotta be up in a few hours.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I actually had to go back and like refix this myself, but then the next day I'm not attacking everything the best that I can because the same reason that I'm treating my day.
Yeah, it's all habits. Like you shouldn't be mad at yourself. You should be mad at whatever habits are causing that.
Yeah.
So if you
But
can't sleep, it's because of the habit that led to whatever happened before you went to sleep, right? It's like, getting in I don't know, when I was younger, it was getting in a fight before I went to bed. Like that would keep me up all night. Stop doing that. The other thing would be like changing the food that we eat before we go to sleep, changing the food that we eat throughout the day, change what we're consuming. Like most issues in life, most energy issues in life can be changed by what people are putting in their mouths.
do you see the same struggles with people like in different like income brackets? Like for example, like somebody like that's like just making, I don't know, 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. Like it's all the same problems, but just like in different scales.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm thinking of a guy that's, high 8, 9 figures, and he struggles with self-discipline and he struggles with what he's putting in his mouth all the time. But he's good at like willing himself through the business work that he needs to do at the sacrifice of his health, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the question really is not do people suffer from the same challenges, but it's how do we become holistically successful and build the business that we want, right? That's the real question. And the way to do it is that we have to take every area of our life that's important to us seriously, and we have to work on those habits. We have to constantly refine them over and over and over again. And to think that we're done is failure in itself, right? There's always ways to get better. Like you can go your whole life and not have food perfected. You can go your whole life and not have your sleep perfected. You can go there's people that study those things for their entire life and they die never getting to the bottom of all the information. So we can all spend more time working on those habits and build ourselves holistically. You know what I'm saying?
And a personal question, like, how do you, when you view your life and your goals, how do you view that? Because I guess like for me, I look at life as like I have a bucket list of things I gotta get done and things that I want to accomplish and do, and I have to like attack that list
Yeah.
with all my intent, like because like it's just this one life we're getting, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. To me, that's the simplest ways of looking at it. Like it's a bucket list filled with things I want to cross off. And sometimes I have this conversation with people and they just, I don't know, they just view life as like it's not very, I guess like it goes back to like the life that I want, it's like very goal orientated. And for others, it's just kind of like, I don't know, like it just kind of flows by. Like I was talking to someone the other day and I was asking like, hey, well, what's your dream job? And they were just like, no, I just like to move around. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I ended up like just agreeing to disagree with them, but I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like if you were able to snap your fingers, you're telling me you've never had like this job or this thing you're passionate about that you wish is what you made income doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just feels weird to think about life that way when you are
Yeah,
gonna.
when somebody doesn't have a goal or a dream, it's because they've just gotten used to talking themselves out of it for so long.
Mm,
People repress, like, so when somebody doesn't have, or when somebody tells you they don't have a goal or a dream, it's because they've talked themselves out of it for so long. They've repressed their dream and what they want from life so deeply that they've given up on it completely and they don't even know it exists. So it's
okay.
not that people don't have dreams and have goals, it's that they're not aware of them. They haven't entertained the idea enough and they're actually scared to admit what their goals and what their dreams are.
Well, and how
They're
would you say about like someone who has like, I guess even multiple goals? Like, do you think that's something they all need to do? Or like, I guess for example, like whenever I would tell you, like, hey, I want to go into the military, but do want to have a business at some point. Would you tell someone like you have to do it all, or you need to more refrain and focus on the thing that you truly want to do?
I would focus on my approach is like this is a decision question. So you're saying how do we make a decision when we're at a crossroads? For me personally, what I do is I focus on values. What are my values, and what's the harder path in front of me? Because usually, typically with those things, it guides me towards what's meant for me and my purpose. Okay, so when I left the military, I asked myself, I was like, man, should you get out? Yes, no, I don't know. But I asked myself really three questions. I said, what's the hardest path in front of me? What does my gut tell me to do, my instinct? And then what would my mentor tell me to do that's an expert in this field about life?
What are those
And
three? Can you say those three one more time?
yeah, so when I'm at a crossroads, I ask myself three questions. I ask myself, what is the harder path in front of me?
Okay.
Because everything worth having in life is always uphill. The best things in life always come on the other side of adversity. The girl that you fall in love with, the reason why you fall in love with her is because you went uphill to get her. You confronted your fear, your adversity, you asked her out on a date. Okay, then number two is I ask myself, it's a value-based question. I ask myself, what does my gut tell me to do? My gut is my conscience, my intuition. Okay, your conscience is always telling you what the right decision is. People just have gotten used to not listening to it. So for me, I know that if I really want to align with my purpose in life and I want to reap the rewards of life long term, I need to constantly align myself with what I believe is right inside of me. Nobody ever regretted doing the right thing. Okay. So when I face with a decision, I ask myself, what's the right thing to do? What does my gut tell me I should do right now? Whenever I didn't listen to my gut in life, things got bad. Okay. I remember I didn't listen to my gut one time for a mission overseas in combat. I was going to take a machine gun to my objective, but I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and let the guys take it. I don't need it over here. They can take it down to theirs. Well, I got down to my objective and we needed that machine gun. And I really wish that I would have taken it down there. Okay. I went against my gut and I almost paid the price. And then the last thing that I asked myself is I changed my perspective and I asked myself, what would my mentor or somebody that's an expert in this area, what would they tell me to do? So a lot of times in life, it's really tough to make decisions from your own perspective. So I like to change my perspective. It's one of my mental Gerber tools that I use to negotiate life and get what I want. I teach this to my clients these days. Your mental Gerber is like a Gerber tool is like a Swiss Army knife. It has all these different tools on there. Your mind has all these different tools that can help you get what you want. Perspective is one of those tools. If I change my perspective, I can approach the problem differently. All right. Imagination is another one of those tools. Another one of those tools is consciousness. Your mind has the ability to observe its own self talk. That's a tool. If I know how I'm talking to myself, I can change it. So my point is the third question I ask myself when I'm faced at a crossroads is, what would my mentor or somebody that's an expert in this field tell me to do? I change my perspective. And if any of those three answers, okay, if two of those answers are pointing me in the same direction, I go that direction.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I don't think about it. I just go. And that's why I got out of the military. What was the hardest path? What's the hardest path in front of me? Getting out of the military. What does my gut tell me to do? My gut says I should get out. What would my mentor tell me to do that's really good at life success? He would tell me to go out and chase my purpose. Well, shit, man. Now it looks like I'm getting out.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to see, I guess, because like in a way it would have shown also that like you would have been you would have stayed in Ranger Battalion because you had already reached such a high level. Then in a way you would have gotten comfortable being where you're at. Now that you still can't like challenge yourself, but what is like how much else more were you gonna grow in that?
Well, yeah, I measured. So at the point that I left the military, I measured my success based off of how big of an impact I was making. So I went to the Ranger Regiment. I was a Ranger platoon leader there. I did the dream job. I was a strike force platoon leader. After that assignment, I went and became a light infantry company commander in the conventional army. So I did that assignment and I went on another deployment, my fourth combat deployment. And after that, I ran the 103 miles and I had my epiphany that I needed to leave. When I was soul searching, I started asking myself, what do I really want to get out of life? And what I wanted was to make the biggest impact possible. And I knew that if I stayed in the military, I was going to be limited on how many people I could impact in my lifetime. So what the path that I saw was to fulfill my mission of making the biggest impact possible meant that I had to get out and I had to go start serving others in the civilian sector and living that way. Because if I went into entrepreneurship, there was no ceiling on my influence, right? As a company commander, I could really only control and influence the people underneath my command. And then as I ascended the military ranks, it would have been battalion commander, regimental commander, and those had limitations as well. Now you climb high enough and you can affect the whole army and potentially affect the whole world, sure, but you're also kind of restricted in terms of how fast you can do that.
And how you can do it.
And how you can do it. So in entrepreneurship, I knew if I jumped in, there's no ceiling, no limitation. It's all really just up to me. So this path makes more success, it makes more sense for me to fulfill my mission of making an impact.
Okay. And then, so like with that being said, like how do you, I know we kind of talked about it earlier, but how did you choose to be a life coach, right? Because I feel like you see people from with military background come out, like the other person I can think of is like Jocko Willing, right? And they go into these leadership roles, like in the civilian world. But how, like, what from the military or what in you do you think helped you relate to people that like this is how I'm able to help you become a better version of yourself or a better leader? Was it the experience that you had in the military, or like what was it that you made you feel like this is what you can do?
The thing that helped me get into coaching and really what became life coaching was that people told me what they wanted from me. So I wasn't sure what space to get into in the coaching space. There's a lot of different things that I could help people with: fitness, their mindset. I could help them with leadership. I could help them run their company. But when I got into the space, I got into it because my mentor recommended that I do it. He said, you have a great capacity for influence. You have a great track record. You should share your knowledge with the world. I laughed at him because I was like, is coaching really a business that you can build? I'm like, is that a thing? But I respected the guy. I liked the guy. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to try this out. And so I opened myself up without any specific goal in mind. I just said, let me just try this and see what people want from me. And when I did that, the market told me what they wanted from me. This is where a lot of coaches get messed up. They try to game their coaching business. And they say, you know what, I'm going to go in, I'm going to teach people this, this, and this. This is what I love, and this is what I think people want from me. Not this is what I love. They say, this is what I think people want from me. And that can actually do them a disservice, because the people will tell you what they want from you. Everybody sees you a certain way. And so when they come to you, your goal as a coach is to help them with what they want, but give them what they need. So a lot of people come to you, Rogelio, because they know that you can help them with their fitness. But what do you know? You know that what they need is more work on their mindset. They need more work on their habits, their life. And so you deliver that to them because you know it's what they need.
Yeah, and that's something I've been questioning a lot more now, because it's something I've come to realize, like, it's the fitness. I mean, you show up at the end of the day, right? Like, you can hire a coach and we can help you through that. But the problem's beyond that. Like, it's things that we have to help people fix in their mindset. And that's where I'm
Dude,
like, how
so
do I how do I implement this? Not just like through creating YouTube videos or social media, but like in the conversations I'm having with them daily.
the way to really influence and help people is to yes, help them get what they want, but like I said, deliver to them what they need. Most people, when they come to me, what they want is more money. At the end of the day, that's what they want. They tell me they want more money. But what I deliver to them most of the time, 99% of the time, as a base, is personal development and strategies for growth. Because I know that's what they actually need. And when you help, my whole approach in business is, if I build the leader builds the business. If I build the person builds the life. And this is what most people don't understand. There's a reason why Napoleon Hill's book, one of the best-selling books of all time, the one that created one of the most millionaires of all time, Think and Grow Rich, is titled Think and Grow Rich. It's a book that has a title about getting wealthy. Why is that? Because most people think what they want is to get rich. And then what he does in the book is he delivers them personal development.
Yeah.
He threads in their strategies to get wealthy, but what he does is he helps them become a better human. And by becoming a better human, they get paid more.
Yeah. Yeah, that book's all personal development. There's not really a whole lot in there.
No,
Actual,
I mean, it talks a little, it threads in the idea of money throughout its like book, and it's each section.
but it's
But
not.
what it got you to click, it got you to like click on it, open it up, and then you get addicted to the personal development in there, and the shit works. That's the thing. People don't understand personal development. Your level of success in life will never exceed your level of personal development.
Yeah, I have I'm doing a leadership course here with the city of San Antonio, and I'm having to come out of my shell a little bit more on like speaking in public and networking with others that are, how do I break it down to you? Like, I don't see, at first I didn't see how this was actually like a potential growth for my business. And sometimes I still question it, but it's all personal development. It's not necessarily something to do with fitness, but it's personal development and other aspects of myself that I'm having to like tap into. And there's another one coming up in January, and I have clients that are, higher success, and they're the ones telling me like, hey, you need to go do this. And I'm questioning them like, what's the reason? Like, do you think this is gonna help me grow the business? And then at the end of the day, it's like, no, this is about your personal development. That
Yes, it's going to grow you, and you're going to grow the business.
grow
Like,
the
this is
business.
where a lot of business owners get messed up, is they start investing into things outside of themselves. They're like, oh, I got a handle on this. I got a handle on this. And it's not true. Like, anytime I've invested in myself, this is what happens. You put the money into you, and then there's exponential increase in everything that you touch. You become not only better in your business, but you become better to your wife. You become better to your friends. You start speaking differently to everybody. Your entire world elevates because you put money into you. Your stock goes up, so your world goes up.
Yeah, yeah. So then, okay, and then with when you chose this, how was it that like how would you say, like, if it was somebody who was graduating in college and they went to school, I don't know, philosophy,
Yeah.
major, some of that matter, or psychology, how does somebody like that become a life coach if maybe they haven't experienced or have like a track record in life that shows they can help someone?
Yeah.
Like,
The way
do
you,
they
yeah.
just start at a smart scale, or do they somehow just, just ask, and then eventually the customer would see how they what they want help with from that person?
Yeah. The way, well, here's how you don't become a coach. You don't become a coach by going and studying a bunch of books and then teaching what you read. The way you become a coach is by, yeah, you can go get the education, but you go get life experience, you go get results, and then you teach those experiences and those results to people behind you. So if you want to become a coach, then yeah, go get some experiences and go get some results. Now, that might be frustrating for a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, I don't have any results yet." That's the damn point. Go get some results and then teach people how to get them. So it's really simple. Like, you got to figure out what you want to help people with, then go get results in that area. So if I come out of school and I want to be a mental toughness coach, well, what can I do to go build my mental toughness? I can go do the David Goggins challenge. I can go do a 100-mile race. And then through that, I can go teach that experience to others. But a lot of people don't want to go that route. They like the idea of this romanticized idea of being a coach. Being a coach is one of the hardest industries on the face of the planet. And the reason why is because you're not just sharing your experiences and knowledge, you're trying to influence people. You're changing human behavior. Did you know that changing behavior is so hard to do that people will literally kill themselves by not following a prescribed program that could save their life? Okay, like, how many people do you know that have nagging injuries that continue to live with those injuries because they won't adhere to the recovery plan that you give them?
So
So adherence is 80% of success, adhering to a plan. So human behavior is a very challenging thing to change in people. And most people want to be, they like the idea of being a coach, but they don't want to do the work required. They don't want to go out and get the results. They don't want to go out and get the experiences, and they don't want to actually change human behavior. What they want to do is sit on the backside of a microphone, share their experience, and let everybody praise them for things that they haven't done. And they want to get paid for that. So there's a huge problem in the industry, but it also provides a huge opportunity for those of us that are out there that want to actually do the work and share that information with everyone. Now, here's what I'll also say is I think that everybody can be a coach at some point in their life. I think it's our duty as leaders to build ourselves into the leaders that we would follow, and then share that information with others and help others become the leaders that they want to be. So in other words, like, everybody's purpose is to grow into the leader that they respect and admire, and then help others do the same.
yeah, and that's why I think, like, outside of fitness, like when I was telling you earlier, like I feel like the way I can help people right now, it's based off the things that I've been through. For
Yes.
like, if I were to say, man, like I don't know, like I can help you become a millionaire, and it's like, well, how if
Yeah.
you haven't
Yeah.
gotten there yourself yet?
Yeah. They won't listen. They won't listen, right? Unless you have the results. Like, I realized this recently, right? Like, I was doing pretty well and I'm successful, but I started looking at my social media content and I'm like, I feel like people aren't really listening to my shit. I'm like, why are they not listening? I'm like, here's my personal resume. And then I look at my social media. I'm like, well, number one, your social media doesn't really showcase your resume. I was like, it has some bullets, but until somebody gets to know you at first glance, why the hell should they listen to you? You're
No,
actually kind of easy to miss on social media. I said, damn, dude, that's a good point. So I started holding myself accountable. I looked at my body. I said, dude, you're in shape. You've done a lot of hard things, but you actually don't look like you're that in shape. I
no,
was like, bro, you fight. You've been in cage fights. You run 103 miles. I'm like, you're a tough motherfucker, but you actually don't look that tough. And so I did a hard look at myself. I took a hard look at myself and my brand. And I said, I need to level everything up, man. I need to start showcasing my results. So I upgraded everything, not just my material world, not just my life, but I upgraded myself. I'm on my way to 9% body fat. I'm looking jacked. People go through my Instagram now and they stop. Bro, what is this guy doing? They want to listen to me because my results have increased, right? So if we
no.
want to be a coach and we want to influence others, the first thing we have to do is elevate ourselves as leaders.
Yeah, and I was thinking like when whenever you say that, I also think like lots of self work and lots of self development doesn't have to have like a certain price to it. So what I mean, for example, is like I've gotten very big like on challenging myself continuously through different like physical fitness challenges, because it's what kind of helps me like stay the course, like keep on track with it, like everything else. But I don't see it as like I'm not trying to be a number one. Like I'm not doing it for the trophy.
Yeah.
In the sense, I'm doing it because that helps me stay the course with like everything else. And
Yeah.
at
The question everybody should ask themselves is, would they give themselves a trophy for the way that they're living?
yeah, and it's like, and I don't know, I just feel like the way to program the day, or like the life, the month, it's you're meant to program it to the point where it's bringing the best out of you. And I feel like fitness has done that for me. So I try and keep some form of like physical challenge in my life to like stay on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's a standard. I have the same belief system.
Yeah.
Every year I need to improve. That's my standard. Every year I need to improve in every area. I need to improve physically, mentally, spiritually. I need to improve in my relationships. I need to improve in my business. And it's really simple. All I got to do is look at my results.
No. No, yeah. Well,
Oh,
is there
yeah.
anything else that you would want to go over, like tell someone who like right now is like going through it, is feeling stuck, that pretty much maybe got backtracked and they're back to square one, and they want to, like, what advice would you give that person?
Yeah. The advice I have for somebody that's stuck and maybe feels like they're backtracking is good, right? Because it gives you a chance to rebuild and move forward. But here's what I'll say is, understand that what you're after in life is freedom. We all want internal and external freedom. You want to be free inside from criticism, fear. You want to have self-control, self-discipline, self-mastery. That's what humans really want. And then the other side, they want they want abundance. They want true environmental freedom, the freedom to do whatever they want. In order to reach true internal and external freedom, you have to go through the phases of growth in life. There's the comfort zone, there's the terror barrier, there's the pain cave, and then there's the potential barrier. Okay. Comfort zone, terror barrier, potential barrier, pain cave, potential barrier. So if you've fallen back into the comfort zone, the first thing that you have to do is you need to get back on track and get through the terror barrier. Okay. Just because you fell off track doesn't mean you're not on track. All right. So the thing that's going to keep you where you're at in the comfort zone, which is where people die and they end up miserable and unfulfilled in life, is the inability to go through the terror barrier. So we need to get out of the comfort zone, go through the terror barrier, and start doing the work again to get to the pain cave. So how do we do that? Well, we need to welcome the failure that comes with it. Okay. So the worst thing that we can do is sit there in the comfort zone and just allow life to pass us by, right? But my point is that we need to welcome the fear. We need to welcome the fear of getting started again. It's on the other side of fear that you find the life that you love. And it's through that fear where you find your gifts. So everything in life that you want is on the other side of that fear. Like, my greatest breakthroughs in life came from facing my fears. It came from facing the race that I didn't want to do, joining the military, starting the business. Okay. And when you do those things that you truly, truly fear, you find your gifts. When I got into coaching and I got through the terror barrier, I confronted my fear. I found my gift. My gift is really helping people. So if you got knocked down, I say good. Get back up, face the terror barrier head on, overcome the fear, because you'll find your gifts.
Yeah, guys. If you guys are watching this, so again, like, Jeremiah was my first mentor, and throughout the 4 years that I've been coaching people, the last two of me like going self-employed, where it was like a big risk, that like I was like 100% like now in this industry. Everything that's like continuously built and built and built has gone back to like the principles of like what I learned with you.
Yeah.
And it's just like to in a certain way, I feel like it's all broken down very basic. Um, there's other people who like might explain it slightly differently, but I think the way you preach it is very like head on, but in a simple way that anybody can digest it and make it make sense to them. And yeah, I don't know. I just kind of want to end this with like anybody who's like struggling, like I think a mentorship, which I think overall, like this was the main topic of like the whole podcast was like you do not know how like important it is until you actually go through it. And maybe if at some point it does mean like a financial investment, then so be it.
Yeah, your next level in life is greater than your pocketbook.
Yeah. And it's just like I don't know, I just find it like it's just really funny because you're gonna spend money on something, so might as well it be your self-improvement.
Yeah,
Like
bro. The economy can go down and your stock can still go up.
yeah. So I still try and actually like tell a few people about Conquer. Um, and I bring up your name a lot because it's at the end of the day, like you represent the brand, right? And I wanted to see like what you're about so they can understand where it all comes from and how like some of that still like ties into me.
Yeah.
But no, man, thank you. I really appreciate you being on and still like you still get after it, right? And it's like even to this day, like I continuously seeing your stuff, like I keep learning or reminding myself of things that like I already knew, but sometimes I needed that recap again.
Yeah. And then, the best thing about receiving the same information over again, it's not that the information is new, it's that you're new to the information. Right. So you've evolved and it means something different to you now,
Then
even
what?
though I might be saying something different than back then. Right. So
Gotcha.
um, that's why it's important to revisit. That's why I'll read the same book over and over again. It's not the information's new, it's that I'm new to the information. So you just got to keep that mindset, that student mentality.
That's actually something I was thinking about the other day because I was like, I was picking up different like mentor or like mental mindset books, and I was getting to the point where like, man, I'm realizing a lot of these are saying the same thing, but they're actually not as interesting as the ones I've already read, like the ones in the reading
Yeah.
list, right? And I'm like, why don't I just go back to reading the ones I already have and seeing what else I can pick up from it
Yeah.
instead of just buying new books.
Yeah. That's exactly right. All
But
right, man.
yeah, man, no, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this right here.
Cool.
And
No, you're doing an excellent job, bro. Everybody, you guys need to be following him. He's going to keep climbing. Rogelio keeps growing and growing and growing. He's a great person to learn from. So follow his stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Jeremiah Solven, JeramiahSolven. And tell me where you came from. Just say Rogelio, and I'll chop it up with you guys in the DM. Thanks for having me, bro.
yeah, I'll put your stuff in the link below. Cool.